Good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to let the waiting room clear. Please make sure you're muted as you enter. All right, we're going to get started. Good afternoon. This is a hearing before the Boston Cannabis Board, the BCB. Today is October 8th, 2025. Today's hearing is being conducted pursuant to temporary amendments to the open meeting law. This is what allows us to meet virtually. This hearing is being recorded and will be posted to the City of Boston's website. Before I review some procedural matters, I will introduce Chairwoman Kathleen Joyce.
Thank you, Jasmine. Good afternoon. My name is Kathleen Joyce. I'm chairwoman of the Boston Cannabis Board. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Commissioner Lisa Holmes, Commissioner Ramon Soto, Commissioner Sonal Gandhi, Commissioner Jack Kenslia, and Commissioner John Smith.
Thank you, Chairwoman Joyce. My name is Jasmine Nguyen. I am the Boston Cannabis Board Manager. We are also joined by Luke Sandhouse, who is our Cannabis Licensing Specialist. I will begin by calling each item in the order that they appear on the agenda. We have one amendment to an already approved license and two new license applications. The amendment application will have 5 minutes to present to the BCB, followed by questions and comments from the board members. We will then move to our new license applications, and they will have 10 minutes to present to the BCB, followed by questions and comments. We will then take public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives, followed by the general public. If you do wish to testify, please sign up via the link that will be put in the chat. If you have already signed up, you don't have to do so again. Additionally, you may use the chat function to request to testify. Please wait until the matter in which you would like to speak about is called. Do not use the chat to give testimony. It will not be considered. Please state your full name, address, and affiliation, if any. Testimony will be limited to 2 minutes, at which time you will be muted. Additional testimony may be submitted in writing to cannabisboard@boston.gov. The record will be kept open until Monday, October 20th at 5 p.m. The BCB does not give any more weight to spoken testimony than it does written testimony. All right, we will call our first matter. The licensee is Roster Roots LLC, doing business as Roster Roots. The license premise is 21 Broad Street, downtown. The license type is a marijuana retailer license, and they're requesting to amend their operating hours from 10 a.m., 8 p.m., 7 days a week to 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. Who is present on behalf of the licensee?
Fernando Bent Mullings.
Okay. All right, you have 5 minutes. You may begin.
Thank you. Do you have the slides for
Yes, so you
that
want
were
me
sent
to?
to you?
You want me
Please, if you could. If you could. Thank you.
to? Can everyone see
Thank
that?
you.
Just let me
Yes.
know when you want me to move the slides.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi. Well, like I said, my name is Fernando Bent Mullings. I'm the owner of Roster Roots along with my wife, Hillary. I promise I probably won't even be 5 minutes. First, I just wanted to thank publicly Jasmine just for what she does and all the help that and guidance. My family appreciates it with this and with our licenses before. So just wanted to make sure to say that. So yeah, so we're located at 21 Broad Street in Wharf District. Next slide, please. Today we're here just because we wanted to extend our hours an additional 3 hours. Right now we're open 10 to 8. We want to be open 10 to 11. Next slide, please. Just a little history on us. We haven't had any issues with compliancy with the community or anything. We've been open since February. Everything's been great. I think we've been good neighbors. We haven't had any complaints. If anything, we've had people tell us that they're glad that we're here now. So that's been nice to hear. Next slide, please. So our location, the star on the bottom, that is where we are, 21 Broad, like I said, pretty close to Faneuil Hall. A lot of nightlife that's down here. That was one of the reasons why we wanted to extend our hours and would think that it would bring something to the area, not just for the tourists that are in the area, but people that also live and work here. Next slide, please. So like I said, there are other dispensaries in our area. With us being open until 11 p.m. potentially, we still wouldn't even be the latest open. We're not trying to exceed anything that's already down here. Next slide, please. The bars that were illustrated on that slide two before are all open until 2 a.m. So it's not a matter of uh, people not being down here that late. If anything, they're down here later than that. All these bars, like I said, are all one walking distance or on our street. Next slide, please. Another thing that Boston has added to this area, we have food trucks Thursday, Friday, and Saturday that go until 3 a.m. So uh, just the city recognizing that there is a decent amount of people that are in this area later than normal hours is just another reason why we would like to have our hours extended so we can provide services to the people that are down here anyways. Next slide, please. Yeah, so like I said, just being able to provide service to crowd that typically maybe wouldn't be able to get to us in our normal hours. We get a lot of people that come in around 7:30 and ask why we're not open later. Same thing with the bars and the restaurants that are in the area. Everyone has been kind of pushing for us to extend our hours for some time now, but things take time, so that's why we're trying to do it now. Next slide, please. Um, any questions or concerns? I'm glad to answer any. We've had you can actually go to the next slide. It'll kind of talk about it even more. We've had a community meeting already. We had one person show up and they didn't even have a question. They were just wanted to see what we were thinking. I think that was just a testimony to how we've been in the community with our cleanups that we do and blood drives that we host and things like that. So I think everyone thinks we're a good neighbor, and that's why we haven't had any pushback. We've had a letter recommendation for the extended hours from the Wharf District. If the BCB hasn't received it yet, I can send an email to Suzanne, and I'm sure she would send it right over. I had a lovely conversation with her about this meeting early in this week. So uh, that's all the presentations that I have. If anybody had any questions for me, like I said, I'm pretty open to anything.
Thank you. We
You're
will
welcome.
do questions, comments from the board members, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you. I have no questions. I think your ask makes sense. I have no questions at this time.
Thank you.
Commissioner Holmes?
Hello, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Eva Jones, representing the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. Regarding 21R Broad Street, our office defers to the board's judgment. A community process was conducted, including an abutters meeting held on 8/25/25 that was only attended by one community member who expressed no concerns, as Fernando said. Excuse me. The proposal was also reviewed by the Wharf District Neighborhood Council, which expressed support for the proposal and has also provided a letter of support. At this time, the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services defers to the board's judgment for your time. Thank you, everyone, for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Eva. Commissioner Holmes, do you have any questions or comments?
I just had one question about staffing. I know somebody else will probably, I know you've been working, so I know your security stuff is all intact, but are you going to be hiring new people or
We
are
are.
you going to use the staff you already have?
We're hiring new people. If you got anybody that's looking for work in this area, I would gladly take a look at their application. But we are planning on hiring new people and just giving some flexibility to our current staff. We have people that say that they would love to come in later and work later. So it's just giving a more of an option to our staff and then to people trying to get into the industry that might want to work part-time and get out of work at 5, they can come work with us until 11.
How many people do you think you would need to extend the hours?
To extend the hours, we would probably need 3. I have one going through all the application stuff right now. I don't think it will be that big of an ask to get 2 more. Uh, I can be pretty picky with hiring, if
As
anything.
you as
So
well you
that's
should
the only,
be.
yeah, that's the only thing slowing down that process. It's just making sure that it's a good fit for everyone, not just for us, but also for people interested in working with us.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Soto?
No questions.
Commissioner Gandhi?
Thank you, Jasmine, and thank you, Fernando, for the really great presentation. That was very thorough. I have no questions at this time.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kinsley?
Yeah, I mean, my question's kind of along the same lines as Commissioner Holmes. It's something that I'm always interested when we get the applications for hours change. So I was wondering if you could just go like a little bit more in depth on what the engagement with your current employees has looked like. If a lot of them are kind of open to the prospect of working later nights, if there's been any concerns that you've heard so far.
We haven't had any concerns. If anything, they've been pushing me to extend the hours more so than my wife. So it's just it seems, knock on wood, it seems like everyone's on board, and the opportunity to be able to drop their kids off, then get on the train to get to work versus never seeing them in the morning. That's one thing that we make sure we take into consideration when it comes to our staff. There's a reason why we were open originally from 10 to 8. I didn't want to have people that uh, weren't able to see their kids if they worked all day. And just having an extended hours, what that does is kind of give us that flexibility to bring on somebody that might want to work part-time and might want to work nighttime, or same thing with our existing staff.
Okay. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think it's something I'm always interested in. I've seen some situations before where there was an hours extension, and then it turns out the company had not really engaged their workers in the process, and then there was a lot of discontent after the fact when they were being forced to change hours. So I appreciate your intentions and your willingness to include them as part of that whole conversation. I mean, the only other question I would have had was about similar, other businesses in the area that are open late and what the scope looks like. So I do appreciate you providing that information proactively. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Yeah, quality of life. I don't want my great staff to want to leave because I made them work later hours. So yeah.
Commissioner Smith?
Thank you, Jasmine. No, I don't have any questions.
All right, we will move to public testimony. We already heard from Office of Neighborhood Services. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives that would like to speak on this matter? All right, seeing no one. Luke, did anyone sign up to testify?
Yes, Justin Fisher.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Great. My name is Justin Fisher. I'm of Synergy Investments. I'm the landlord and managing agent for the building at 131 State Street, also known as 1 India Street. I'm here to oppose Roster Root's request to extend their operating hours from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. to 7 days a week. I appreciate the outreach and community meeting mentioned, but I regret not having a chance to attend these. In addition to the neighborhood meeting that was referenced by the mayor's office, as we were not aware of any of that taking place. Further, I was only made aware of this hearing yesterday through word of mouth. So while I respect the legal operation of cannabis business, extending hours late into the night raises real concerns for me, for our neighborhood, namely, and it's not really apparent that the applicants presented any mitigants to those concerns. We'll get into those. My property is primarily a residential property. We've already seen how increased foot traffic and vehicular activity, perhaps due to couriers, even under current hours, constrain parking, elevate noise levels, and shift the overall tone of my street in the evening. So I'm curious to know what the applicant proposes to mitigate those concerns. Adding 3 hours of operation every day pushes business activity deeper into the nighttime hours when our families and residents are trying to wind down, children are sleeping, and residents do expect a quieter environment. We've had issues with the local dispensary on State Street, Apex, due to this activity, and I would ask that the board require the applicant to, one, provide evidence of hardship for the requested modification hours, in addition to spelling out mitigants to the concerns I've raised.
Thank you, Justin. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this matter? Does the board have any follow-up questions? Chair Joyce?
Fernando, when you were considering extending the hours, I'm guessing you looked at it through a business lens, like how much more of the market could capture in those extra 3 hours. Do you have any, even like, do you have any, it doesn't have to be proven data, but do you have any data or estimations what you think that would be
So
on your business, the impact of those 3 hours on your business?
So for us, we just kind of took the cue of what Boston was doing, what we do in the Wharf District, where they brought food trucks here until 3 a.m., where it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. We have food trucks here now. That's not because there aren't people in the area. The amount of foot traffic that we get of people that come in at 7:45 or 7:30 and say they had to rush to get to us. Um, those indicators are things that we saw as like, hey, we think we should try to be open later because we believe that there'd be a decent amount of crowd that would come in that's already in the area, whether it's tourism that's down here, all the amount of tourists that we get in Faneuil Hall, to residents that are down here as well. To Mr. Fisher's point of about not receiving notification, I'm not sure why he didn't receive notification because we did have our neighborhood meeting where we had to put up flyers on everybody within 300 feet from us. And then we did it again on Saturday of last week. So there were multiple flyers that went out. And even with the first one, if there were some flyers that were put out and mailed to that address. I'm sorry that you were unaware of the neighborhood meeting prior.
I just have a question, maybe a clarification. Is Mr. Fisher the landlord of a building across the street, or where is this in proximity to your location?
I I forget what number he said. I think he's said he was on not Broad Street, but a different one.
Mr.
I think
Fisher, where is your building?
Known as One India, so it's bounded by Broad
Okay,
State and India.
okay. Thanks. I don't have any other questions.
Any other additional questions from the board? Oh, Commissioner Smith? Mhm.
Yeah, hi, Fernando. So have you had any complaint like about being disruptive or anything like that before?
we haven't had a single person complain. Uh, I'm here Monday through Friday. If there's an issue that arises, please feel free. I would love to talk to anybody that's had any kind of concerns. I just know that we haven't had any complaints, and like I said, I'm part of the Wharf District Council, and I've talked with them. We had people when we first came in front of the BCB, and they were hesitant for cannabis to come down here, which was 2020 because it was pandemic times. Um, the people that oppose us then actually come in now. So I know that we're a good neighbor, and we do neighborhood cleanups that we don't necessarily brag about, but I know that we're a good neighbor. And if there were any issues from people leaving our store to leaving trash, that would have been brought to my attention or my management attention or someone at 75 State Street. We work hand in hand with them, making sure that the walkway that we shared space with is clean and there's no trash around or anything like that. So I'm not sure of the disturbance that Mr. Fisher is required or referring to. I did hear that he said Apex. They are on the other side of us. They're not necessarily they're in our buffer zone, but they're not that close. So I'm sure their traffic is a little different than our traffic.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I was just responding to the Mr. Fisher's thing about you not having any mitigation plan for something. Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Any other additional questions from the board? Yeah.
Yeah, I had one for Mr. Fisher. So you said it's 131 Broad or One India. It looks like there are a number of like late night restaurants and bars in that very building. Do you receive similar complaints about those restaurants operating late into the night?
No, we do not.
Any other questions from the commissioners?
I guess my only other follow-up would be based on Commissioner's question. If you're not receiving complaints about the restaurants and bars there, why do you think this is different? What would be different about this?
Was that to Mr. Fisher, I'm assuming?
Yeah, for Mr. Fisher, so
I-
sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not to say that there aren't complaints. I'm answering it factually. And by the way, just our concern and experience with the operating hours of Apex. I don't that it's not accurate to say that that would carry over to Rust Roots. Obviously, it's a different operation. Nothing disparaging there. It's just that opening up the additional hours presents to me the possibility of these concerns I raise. And the ask was proposing if there were any mitigants to it. That was all.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board members? No? All right, is there anyone else that would like to provide testimony on this matter? All right, seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you, Fernando.
Thank you.
All right, we will move to our new license applications. The first one, the applicant is Josh's One Stop LLC. The proposed license premise is 323A Washington Street in Dorchester. They're applying for a marijuana retailer license. The proposed hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant. They filed their application on March 10th, 2025. They filed with Inspectional Services on April 3rd, 2025, and they held their community meeting on July 23rd, 2025. There is a buffer zone conflict with another marijuana establishment. Before we hear the presentation, I will ask Akila Armstrong, who is the Cannabis Equity Program Manager for OEOI, to read the equity certification into the record.
Thank you, Jasmine, and good afternoon, everyone. Our office was able to certify Josh's One Stop Shop LLC, doing business as Josh's One Stop, as an equity applicant through the documentation submitted by the applicant, Joshua Gomes. Mr. Gomes is the CEO and 100% beneficial interest holder of Josh's One Stop Shop, meeting the 51% ownership interest threshold set forth in the ordinance. Mr. Gomes meets the following criteria. 1, a person who has resided in the area of disproportionate impact as defined by the Cannabis Control Commission for at least 5 of the last 10 years. Mr. Gomes submitted his driver's license, copies of residential leases, recertification letters, and utility bills establishing Boston residency from 2020 through 2025. Mr. Gomes resides within Census Tract 901 and which is designated by the CCC as an area of disproportionate impact. Number 2, a person who is of Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, or Indigenous descent. Mr. Gomes self-identifies as African American and has provided a valid Massachusetts driver's license. Number 3, a person who has been certified by the CCC as an economic empowerment or social equity participant and has been a resident of Boston for at least 1 of the last 3 years. Mr. Gomes has been certified by the CCC as a social equity participant since May of 2020, and as stated earlier, Mr. Gomes provided a copy of his lease, recertification letter, utility bills, and ID establishing he has resided in Boston for at least 1 of the last 3 years. Are there any questions about the certification?
And thank you, Akila. Ezra, I see you shared your screen, but we're looking at if you want to stop sharing until you get the presentation up, because we can see your screen. Or not. All right, who is present on behalf of the applicant?
Can you repeat that?
I said, who is present on behalf of the applicant? You, Joshua?
Yes, I'm Joshua Gomes.
All right, and
Ezra is my consultant. He's also in attendance.
Yeah, I believe we're looking at his screen.
Yes, I believe he must be muted at this point.
I apologize. I wish I could figure out what I'm doing wrong about sharing my screen.
We can see your entire screen. I don't know if there you go.
Can you see it?
Okay. Yeah, we can see it. You're all set.
Go ahead, Josh.
All right. Thank you guys for giving me the chance to submit my proposal for Josh's One Stop Shop. It's a Black-owned, social equity-owned, 100% diverse team. I'm in a tiny neighborhood in the Four Corners area in Dorchester with a storefront of 400 square feet. The purpose is to formalize safe, compliant access for our loyal and local walk-in customers. Um, the same face, same front door for 6 years now. I have been operating a convenience store slash smoke shop in the Four Corners area. Next slide. So Josh's one-stop shop will most likely maintain no more than 3 to 4 employees, including myself, at one time to operate the business. But I'm committed to diversity as an African American resident and business owner in a diverse Boston neighborhood. Right here is my storefront at 323A Washington Street in Dorchester. It's a dense, walkable, mixed-use corridor, and it's also ADA accessible. There is plenty of transit around the neighborhood. I have the 23 bus line from the MBTA that goes down the street, and it's also free. So it's very accommodating to a lot of Boston residents. I am within another retailer's buffer zone, but my store will be different as a micro retail, serving a distinct nearby walk-in base with a diverse product base. I've leased this location for several years. As a small business, my margins are tight. In order to capitalize on this new business opportunity, I wanted to upgrade my location to a business that can be more economically sustainable. Once again, it's 400 square feet, so the risk is minimal for my budget, and this is why I chose my current location. Next slide. So the floor plan and security is what you see on this slide right here. So my plan for on-site security personnel, including myself, due to the primary crime at MA dispensaries being cybercrime or other scams such as impersonation or psychological manipulation, as evidenced by the repeated security notifications sent to the licensees by the Cannabis Control Commission, and the low crime rate for armed or in-person robbery of dispensaries, we will have no dedicated security guard whose only role is security. Instead, each employee manning the 3 areas: the entry ID check, the marijuana product area check, and POS ID check, will be trained in active shooter, armed robbery, emergencies, natural disaster, and other security issues. Additionally, there are 3 doors between the street and accessing the marijuana products area. Unlike many Boston dispensaries, which only have 1 door, for the redesign of my current convenience store, a security checkpoint or man trap will be added, requiring all customers to present an ID a second time entering the marijuana sales area. Having operated a 21 plus smoke shop and convenience store for 6 years in this location, my employees and I have dealt with our fair share of security issues, and we are well prepared to implement our same high security training and operational procedures when marijuana products are added to the inventory. To add on to the floor plan and security you see in the slide, we'll have full surveillance, 90-day video retention, monthly checks, an annual third-party security audit, security delivery and storage of state tracking, POS reconciliation, and armored cash transport and body cam delivery partners. Next slide. So this is my diversity plan, is to maintain 100% diverse ownership, 100% diverse staff, 100% local residents, neighborhood. I'm very big in hiring people from the neighborhood. 80% of my staff right now live within the neighborhood, and most of them are able just to walk to work. My measurements, tracking of hirings, promotions, training, and diverse vendors. And once again, Dorchester residents are a priority, and I am Corey-friendly hiring at my location. I will serve as the SE-owned training model for SE in the state. And I will also, and me and Blue Skies will provide mentorship and incubator help to under 500 square foot shops in Boston and beyond. Commitment to a sustainable neighborhood business, and this is not an exit strategy. Next slide. My community support and quality of life. I like to talk about my Owens hearing. There was feedback from residents regarding the proximity of houses of worship. I attend one of these churches nearby, and a lot of the customers who attend these churches, they also support my proposal. I understand that meeting all churches would not approve of my proposal, but I have no negative feedback so far from the churches that are close by. And I also don't think that everyone that shares the belief that being a person of faith and a supporter of regulated cannabis is mutually exclusive. There were also comments about cannabis stores that are close by. Pro Oasis was brought up as a nearby shop, which is 0.9 miles away outside the buffer zone. Additionally, just because Pro Oasis is a Black-owned cannabis store does not mean we're in the same class. They are local to the area, and are socially equity certified, but we are different. We're trying to fight the black market in our neighborhood. A lot of customers in my neighborhood, they tell me sometimes they call their friends to buy marijuana, and I'm trying to just get rid of my best to get rid of the black market that exists in my area of people calling their friends or whoever and doing illegal transactions with marijuana in the Boston area. I'm trying to combat that in this community. Also, we supplied roughly 40 letters signed by customers and local residents in support of our new effort. We also have support from Gomez Gas Station, Columbus Auto Body, and as well as several other neighboring businesses that support our proposal. Additionally, we spoke to Brian Warwell, who expressed that the area had supported minority-owned cannabis businesses in the past. So we're just looking forward to move forward with our proposal. We're well focused on CBD, CBN, and CBG sales, not just the THC. We want to educate the community on ways they can take the plant without smoking. And that's one of my biggest things I've been doing since I started my business in 2019. Next slide. So Josh's One Stop Shop is a tiny social equity owned shop that adds safety and oversight to an existing trusted business, deep community support from actual neighbors, a long-term neighborhood commitment. Once again, this is not an exit strategy. I have to add a little bit more on to that because I hope to continue earning my living. And with the prices and competition where they are now, I feel it's necessary for this business decision to upgrade my shop to a more profitable business model by requesting this product line to be allowed to be sold in my store. Allowing Josh's One Stop Shop to open a dispensary here where I already hold a reasonable lease may mean the difference between having and not having my livelihood sustained. I've proposed this shop for several years, but have now been able to pursue the licensing process in due part to the social equity grants. The closest dispensary, 617 THC, is a general applicant owned in part by a holding company and has enough funding to have applied for a medical treatment center and to have an operational cultivation facility. This is a multi-million-dollar operation. I am an owner, entrepreneur that reflects the community I propose to locate in. Equity and licensing means that people who live in the neighborhoods, who own businesses, and live in the neighborhood they are proposing to sustain business in should be allowed to participate fully in the regulated industry and the market. Having one Black-owned multi-million-dollar shop in the neighborhood may look good superficially, but is not representative of the diversity living and working in the neighborhood. And I like to end my proposal right there. Ezra, if you can chime in if you have anything to add.
Thanks, Joss. I just want to thank the board for the opportunity. I have nothing to add, and you got me choked up. I appreciate your presentation. I'll bring it back to you, Jasmine. Thanks.
Thank you. If you can stop sharing, we will move to questions and comments from the board members, starting with Chairwoman Joyce.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I do have a couple of questions. I'm going to start with your floor plan just because I'm confused. Could you walk me through the floor plan? I'm looking at it in our file. I know it's a small space, but you walk in and there's a lobby and then there's a bathroom behind it. And then that skinny space in between is at the vault.
Uh,
And then what's
Josh,
over
if you
to the
want to go
right?
ahead and answer, oops, you can, but I'm happy to as well.
You could chop. You can answer it, Ezra.
Okay. So basically, I'll walk through the flow moving from right to left. So on the far right side of the drawing is the entrance to the store.
Oh,
And this is where, other goods on the point of sale would be kept. Anything from rolling papers to the things Josh currently sells, like magazines and uh, hand towels or whatever. Um, that is an area, the whole store is 21 and over. But if somebody just wants to come in and buy a magazine, they go into that first section and then they can purchase there and they can leave. That is not a marijuana section. To enter the marijuana area, which is similar to entering Josh's store right now, which is if you want tobacco products, you do need to enter the back of the store. So what we're proposing here is instead of one doorway to the back of the store, so this moves from purple to blue in that doorway, we're going to add a doorway, which creates a man trap or a secure room so that both doors can be closed. One door opens so that person enters in. There's someone in there who can check their ID before they enter the green area. The green area is the floor, sales floor of the 21 and over products. Tobacco is not allowed to be sold, so tobacco is going to be eliminated from this store and replaced, if our proposal succeeds, with the cannabis products. So you can see a white thin rectangle. That's the counter, essentially, where someone goes up for their point of sale. And then the vault is the light purple, second largest rectangle in the middle of the drawing.
can I just
Now,
interrupt? Is
okay.
this still going to remain partly a convenience store?
Um, Essentially, it's so if you go into a dispensary, you can purchase cannabis products, but you can also purchase things like glass pipes and you can purchase rolling
Oh,
papers and merch like t-shirts and things like that. So Josh operating a smoke shop currently and convenience store sells many of those items. Now, so the short answer is yes, this will be maintained as a store that has a wide variety of things. That is not just so part of the angle here is big cannabis only cannabis shops are unsustainable economically. They're very risky. Josh already runs a convenience store and he sells things like dish soap. So he wants to still sell things like dish soap because that is part of his business model and that's allowed. Now, there is a proposal with the promulgation of the social consumption regulations that are coming that they are going to allow food at social consumption. They're going to require food at social consumption licensees. And so that's going to open up the allowance of food sales. It's prepackaged, shelf-stable food, but those food sales can occur at any retail. So we anticipate it's going to be about a year before Josh opens. And in that time, those regulations will be finalized as well. So Josh would be able to sell things like chips.
but the whole store will be over 21.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right, you can continue with your explanation.
So then the skinny hallway begins back of house. So it's sort of like a large rectangle, a skinny hallway, and then another shape. The large rectangle is the whole store area. That skinny corridor is just back of house. Josh has some shelves in there, and that's where he stores things like packaging and things like that. That goes back to a corridor and to the bathrooms. At the very, very end of the left-hand side of the drawing is the egress, and that is a shared egress with the salon next door. So the salon next door also can use that as an egress, and Josh can use that as an egress. So that's why that section is completely closed off from the front part of Josh's store. And that's it.
And what is the lobby? There's a light blue area called labeled lobby.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know why it's called lobby. It is the lobby. It's a lobby because it's shared between two tenants in the building, but that is a required egress area where tenants have to exit from their respective tenants. They can share that bathroom. So typically in a building that has multiple tenants, you might have a shared hallway or a shared lobby wherein multiple tenants or their staff will have access to bathrooms. So Josh and his staff has their own bathroom, which is the smaller water closet, WC there. And then the larger bathroom is a building tenant shared bathroom space where it says lobby. But that's not a public space at all.
And then where do deliveries come in? Through the shared space, the front door?
No, the deliveries will come in through the front door as they currently do.
Okay. Thank you for walking me through that. My next question is, I think, for Josh. You are within a buffer zone, so if you could expand upon with any application within a buffer zone, we're supposed to start from a place of no. So can you provide us with a little bit more detail about why this is so unique, why we should pierce the buffer zone for you here?
Yes. For one, long before any of these dispensaries open, I've been in the Four Corners neighborhood um, with my store. I opened my store in 2019, and I've been selling CBD products and some THC products that were allowed at the time. At the time, we were able to sell Delta 8 um, and and certain variations of THC, like THCO and THCV. But those items are no longer allowed to be sold in stores. So I've seen a dramatic decrease in sales since that happened. Right now, they're only allowing retail stores to sell THCA. So a lot of the products that I used to sell, I can't sell anymore. That's another reason why I'm going for this license so I can sustain my living, be able to hire people within the community and give people an opportunity that they can't get anywhere else.
Okay.
And
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
yeah, and also I am educating the community since I've been open. Our main priority is pushing oils instead of having people buy the flowers, which they have to smoke. They have to roll it up, smoke it inside of a bong, or usually it's a tobacco product. And I feel great by this proposal with me giving up my tobacco license, which tobacco is, it's very harmful to people's health. And most people that use tobacco are smoking it. We focus on oils, and with this license, I'll be able to access THC oils at a higher percentage rate for THC. Because right now, all the THC I can sell is under 3%. With the license, I'll be able to sell oils over 3% and teach people, there's better ways to consume this plant without smoking, and just teaching and hopefully that can get relayed to the youth, the people that are turning 21, and it's and they're interested in the marijuana products. They can start using oils instead of the repetitiveness we've been seeing with people just smoking, and smoking causes lung cancer. So it's more of being more holistic with this plant.
Okay, my last question. Thank you. You made a comment during the presentation that you want to be an alternative to the street market. And
Yes,
with a location is small, I am immediately concerned about ability to turn a profit. What is your price point going to be for your products? Do you know that yet? Have you been able to do any forecasting?
I
No,
can talk
not
a
as
little bit about that.
yeah, as we can.
Yeah, that is actually a good question. I did talk to Josh quite a bit too about the radius of customer he serves, and in talking to some of the customers, because 617 THC is zero point 0.4 miles away. Um, a lot of people have said they don't want to in the middle of winter. They don't want to walk or drive a half mile in Boston or almost a half mile when they can find somebody in their apartment building that sells to them illegally. So that's just addressing the buffer zone that these sort of economies of illegal cannabis are much tinier than what the radius is served by these larger shops. Um, and as far as price point, if we're comparing the closest dispensary to, say, a Chili's restaurant, this is more like a taco stand. It's very tiny. His overhead is so much lower, and he is currently a profitable business selling tobacco products, and it is a risk to switch that from tobacco to cannabis. But I'm very confident that his price point can certainly serve the people in his neighborhood that are just going to the larger dispensaries. And you'll see at those dispensaries that there's a wide range in price point. Josh may not have the $8 eighth like some dispensaries that have these rock bottom prices. But he also doesn't need to have a $50 eighth. So with the supply in the market right now, I think that replacing this product with replacing tobacco with this product is not a huge, it doesn't require a huge capital investment on his part. It just requires approval at this point and some extra security. So he can afford moving forward to bring those price points lower than some of the competition. And with the market the way it is, cannabis wholesale is actually quite cheap. So I'm seeing prices for legal cannabis certainly being competitive with black market cannabis, if not lower priced. And I'm confident Josh will be able to get there as well.
Okay, thank you both. Thanks, Jasmine. I don't have any other questions.
Commissioner Holmes?
Yes, ma'am. I have quite a few. Okay. I need you to walk me through this. What is this? What were we just looking at, Chairwoman? The
Security plan?
plan.
Floor plan.
We're gonna get to the security. First, let me do this. So you're gonna maintain, so your store is only going to be 21 and over for everything, even the convenience store.
Correct.
Okay, and who is going to monitor that? Because Josh has already said he's not hiring any dedicated security people.
Well, if I can speak for Josh here, it will be maintained the same way it is now. There is a person who sits at the point of sale / counter right when you walk in the store, and that person checks IDs currently, and that person will continue to check IDs. Of course, there is a second layer of ID check, and in order for those people to get to the product area that is cannabis, which is unlike many of the shops in Boston now. Most have a single layer of ID check before they get to the point of sale.
Okay, so now we come into the front part, which is the convenience store. So when you standing on Washington Street coming in, somebody has to let you in that door. Am I correct?
That door would remain unlocked, so they can walk
That door
in.
cannot remain unlocked. That door cannot remain unlocked, which is why you're going to have a dedicated security person at the Washington Street door to make sure that the people utilizing the convenience store are 21, and you're going to have somebody at that second level of door to check the ID before you go into the cannabis side of the operation. So you have to have dedicated security. You cannot have 3 and 4 employees to try to do everything because somebody has to monitor your outside of that area.
Okay, and I apologize. I'm basing, so I assume you mean the state regulations for locked facility premises? There are
And as
Boston.
far as what we at the BCB require.
Okay, I haven't seen that regulation, but I have seen Boston shops that just have their door open. It's just wide open.
I haven't
So
seen one, and I can't question you if you have. I haven't
yeah.
seen that, and that's not what we sign off for. But
Mhm.
okay, with that, so my confusion is when after you because I see how you have the line that goes like all the way through the store. How do your customers exit? Do they go back the same way they
They go
came
back the same way.
from? Okay.
And just for a scale reference, because when you look at a drawing, you do sense that like, okay, this is a full store, but with the entire location is 400 square
Yeah,
feet.
I got that. Yep, yep, yep.
So when you imagine walking in that first door, that person is standing in front of you 2 feet away. So it's not like you're walking across a large sales floor to get to that person.
How big is the convenience? How big is like the convenience store part of the establishment?
We're talking 12 by 15 feet, about the size of a bedroom, a small
Okay,
bedroom.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So that counter, which is currently there, in Josh's store, this, you could see the actual scale today, but that counter is probably 2.5 to 3 feet away from the door. It's very, very close to the door. This is a truly tiny shop.
Okay, but the fact that you have to enter and exit the same way would again lead me to almost insist that you have somebody monitoring that door.
And
Because
can you
usually most dispensaries, you go in one door and they wheel you around and you come out another way. So I can see when his business picks up, having people coming and going out of that same door for any human being can become confusing.
Mhm.
It could be, especially if you only got 3 or 4 employees and say it's his busy time of the day and people are getting off work and they're coming in, you're going to have somebody dedicated to monitor that entrance and that exit. And that's for your customer safety as well as yours. Because if your 3 or 4 employees are busy handling customers, nobody is watching the door.
Well, there is one person dedicated who stays at the door, one person who's dedicated who checks the secondary ID check, and then a person who's dedicated at the point of sale. So there's 3 ID checks. My personal experience with dispensaries in Boston is New Dia. New Dia is about 10,000 square feet and is directly across the street from Fenway Park. So it sees roughly 10,000 people on a busy night. It has a single entry door and a single exit door. It's the same door. They leave that door wide open. I'm pretty confident if you walked by now on a beautiful day, that door is wide open. So you're talking about 10,000 people entering and exiting that same door that's wide open. I think a 400 square foot shop, based on where we are in the market, where you literally have stores that are closing in Boston. If we have stores that the number of customers is so great that it requires that level of security, those stores are doing incredibly well. And they may be large stores. A Chili's is going to have a lot more volume than a taco stand. This entire square footage is 400 square feet. Only a couple people can stand in there. So I'm basing it also on Josh's current operation. Josh does not have 15, 30, 100 people in that store. We're already in a buffer zone. We're not in the same buffer zone as say Apex, that's only 400 feet from another retail. We're zero point 0.4 miles, but this is a quiet shop. I respect that security is absolutely important. I'm not sure that a 3 door security checkpoint, which is 3 times more than or double what New Dia has across from Fenway Park.
We're not talking about New Deal. We're talking about Josh's shop. Okay,
I'm
so
talking about Boston. I'm talking
let's
about the
focus on
Boston market.
Josh's shop. Okay, because actually the locations are different and require different security measures. If you really want to compare New Deal to Josh's shop, he
I
has a higher
respect
security concern than New Deal does.
I respect your comment, absolutely, Commissioner Holmes. What I'm asking for, I guess, is the evidence for that. What do you see in the market? And I don't want to compare to other shops. You're right. This is a unique shop, but where are you seeing security issues related to people at the door? If New Dia has their door wide open and you don't even know about it, help me understand what
I
you're
just
seeing
know
in the
the
market.
neighborhood that Josh is in. And I know that once it gets dark, it's very dark up there. So what are we going to do about lighting in front for the security? I know exactly where this shop is. So please don't talk to me like I don't know what I'm talking about. So what are we going to do to lighten up the front of this area? What are you going to do to protect yourself at night? It gets dark at 4 o'clock in the winter. So you're going to have a front door to a cannabis store that is open with no security in a very desolate area of Washington Street.
That's a question.
Yeah.
So we will keep the front door locked. We will station a security guard out front.
So now we're going to have a dedicated security guard.
I don't see any way past your vote with having anything else. And if this is a matter, if this is the difference between Josh maintaining his livelihood and having to close business, then absolutely we will put a
And I
security
want
guard
to
in
see
front.
him safe there. I want to see him safe there. We want
Yeah.
to see you succeed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that we are convinced, and that will be that will be a necessity for Josh's one-stop shop to open, and we will place a security guard at the front of the store,
Okay,
and
so
we
my
will lock the
next
store.
question with this floor plan. So now I see where the sales area is. That's well, the one I'm looking at is pink. I think the thing you had was a little different. Now there's an area with a really small corridor. Does the public access that at all or have any access to that at all?
No, that's private
So
space.
that's all that from that where it narrows down, that all back to the left, that's all private.
That's right. That's all
Correct.
back of house.
Yeah.
Okay, so that back door that the rear egress you say there,
Mhm.
is it possible to have deliveries come in through that way?
Yes, it is possible. We have a parking lot.
I was gonna ask, is there a lot back there?
Yeah, there's a parking lot right adjacent to the building where deliveries can come and they can park. It's more than 10 spaces in the parking lot. So it is accessible to deliveries, yes.
I think personally, I think that would be a safer option for
Mhm.
at least for your transport of your money and the cannabis instead of doing it right on the front because sometimes, there's not always going to be parking. Somebody's going to park going to the restaurant next door or, whatever, the yoga place across the street. So
Yeah.
you might want to see about doing it is possible because then you can come straight through, right? If they did the deliveries and the money transfer in that back where you say the hair salon is that it? You said a hair salon?
Yeah, it's a hair salon next door, yes.
Okay, so do you all share that back egress, that area?
Correct.
Okay. Would it hamper their business if you did your delivery?
No, it would no, it wouldn't. I can definitely consider everything you're saying, and I'm willing to amend my plans to what is better for the safety of my employees, the community, and my proposal that I'm putting forward.
Yeah, you might want, I would suggest that you guys maybe look at that, doing your deliveries and your, especially your money transport and stuff out of the back. You don't want to do that right at the front door. I know you've been selling CBD products and stuff, but once people realize you got cannabis and they know the layout of this store, the criminal mind is a complex thing and they will try to take advantage of your setup. And I'm just really looking out for the safety of you and
Yeah,
your employees, stuff like that.
that's good advice. Thank you.
So, if you could kind of just give me or give this board a little update on, switching your deliveries and stuff to the rear.
Hmm.
Consider putting a dedicated person at least in that front, I'll call it the convenience store door area. That way you can monitor who's coming in, who's coming out. Because even though the front is a convenience store, what if you have a parent that comes in after work with their kids? You tell them they can't come in with their kids to go to the convenience store if they need a gallon of milk or something really quick after work, which is what as listening to you, you said that's what the convenience part of the store is to help the community with little stuff like that. Did I hear that right?
Yes, yes, you're right.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, people are gonna come in with their kids if they have to run to the store real quick. So I don't know. Do you not allow, since it's 21 and over, do you not allow that? Do you not allow
Uh,
anybody under 21 in?
Currently, Josh?
Currently, anybody can come in the store. There's no there's no age that can't come in the store and buy snacks. You can be of any age.
Okay, so
Just with the license, we were preparing to make it. If you're walking through the door, you have to be 21.
21. But
Yeah.
then, but if you do again, you're gonna now maybe cut out and ostracize some of your customers because, like I said, if you got a single parent that's trying to run to a convenience store and they got their kid with them and now they can't come in, so you might have to kind of rethink that aspect of it, you know?
Yes, I understand.
And okay, so we have how many point of sales things are going to be in the retail area there?
In the sales floor in the
Yeah,
front or in the
yeah.
back?
In the marijuana retail, how many points of sale?
Just one.
Just one. Okay. And what do you expect? How is the flow? What do you expect your customer flow to be?
What do you currently get, Josh? Do you get a certain number of people per hour right now?
Yeah, about an hour. I'll say I get about 15 to 20 customers an hour.
An hour?
Correct.
Yes,
Oh, is that combined with the convenience store or just for your CBD stuff?
that's combined with this
Okay. All right.
convenience store and CBD stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I've made my concerns known and I look forward to your updates. And that's really about all I have right now. I don't want to take up all my other commissioners' time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kinsley, do you have any questions?
How many additional employees do you envision hiring, if this goes through and you're able to approve it?
I'm looking forward to hiring an additional 5 to 6 employees.
And how many
Right.
employees do you have currently working in like the convenience store, tobacco shop?
Yeah, right now I have 4 employees, 3 full-time, 2 part-time,
So
including myself.
you would plan to like keep those employees on and hire new employees?
Correct.
So are you offering any assistance for those employees who would need to get badged to like help them through that process proactively?
Of course, through the security training and everything that we need to do to get them certified.
Okay, and what do you envision the like wage range being?
Anywhere between $16 and $18 an hour.
Okay. And then would for the new employees that you're planning on hiring, how many would it be primarily part-time or primarily full-time or like a mix of the two?
Yeah, it'll be a mix of the two. Correct. And
All right, that's
it'll be more to diversify my staff right now. It's mostly Dorchester residents. So I'll just be looking to diversify LGBTQ, just get more different ethnics working under my umbrella.
What type of, I mean, you said you want to do like neighborhood first recruiting. Where do you envision kind of, how do you envision going about the like recruitment process to try to hire people?
We put out in the past. I put out signs. Did very well. We get a lot of people coming in. Fortunately, in my community, there's a lot of people without jobs. So I don't think it'll be a problem at all. Just about every day, I get at least 5 people inquiring about job opportunities. So I know it won't be a problem at all.
And then do you think people will like move back and forth between positions, like or different areas in the store? Or like would the plan be to have like one person who like only works on the convenience store side and doesn't touch any of the cannabis, or would they all
No,
would
I
you
would
be
like
looking at all?
everybody to be able to know the general store. So if somebody calls out, I can call somebody else and they can fill in to whatever's needed. So everybody will be trained on all the procedures and setups that we have here.
Okay, so like even if someone would primarily work only on the convenience store side, you'd make sure that they have all the full licensing and training for cannabis.
Correct.
That
All
would
right,
also
that's
be
all
a
I have.
state
Thank you.
requirement.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith, do you have any questions, comments?
Thank you, Jasmine. This place is near to, like right next door. Is it Levi's right there?
Yes, correct. Levi is my landlord.
He's
Been
your
renting.
landlord.
Yes,
Uh,
yes. I've been
it's like
renting.
alcohol and stuff, right? It's
Levi,
like a lounge or something, right?
he has a lounge that he rents out periodically. Yes.
Okay. Are you concerned you're right next door? Have there been any issues with that? Are you concerned that adding these products will create any issue?
Not at all. Levi, he's not open all the time. And mainly the people that he rents his place to, it's only for certain occasions. He does a lot of he changed up his business model. He doesn't rent to anybody. It's a lot of he does a lot of wakes and Passovers and things like that for people, for families that need to get together. His, you know, Levi, he's been in this community for many years, and he's told me things that he's seen.
Yeah,
So
I know exactly where it is. I know
yeah, yeah.
um,
So people renting his building for parties and stuff like that he's not taking in that type of customers.
okay. You mentioned being sort of rooted in the community and sort of what would be your benefits for your workers and the sort of community benefits that you foresee? Do you have any benefit package for your workers?
At this moment, I don't have benefit packages, but we'll be working on that.
So no health or anything like that. Time. Okay. Um, like
I can speak to the
well,
state benefit package. There is a state plan, which is the positive impact plan. So he is required to have a positive impact plan that is tracked and with metrics that has a very specific goal of helping people to fully participate in the regulated industry. So, if Josh does manage to open with the market the way it is and larger shops closing, and then a wave, they just certified hundreds of new social equity participants, and we have grants to have a model like Josh's, which is a convenience store. There's hundreds of them in Boston. to be able to run a convenience store and just add this as a product line compliantly. That is the incubator slash mentorship model that Josh and I are going to do. Anybody who wants to try and open this up, a similar model anywhere in the state where they're just using a really tiny space like this and maintaining compliance. So we're trying to usher in a new era where we don't have people going into millions of dollars of debt to open a shop that serves only a specific type of customer. We're trying to usher in a new era that is a diversified shop with lower overhead, with a more community focus. So that will be the focus of our positive impact plan, to actually incubate and help others do shops similar to that.
So you're seeing this as a model.
That would be the hope. I mean, a convenience store is a model, and for some reason, dispensaries are Apple Store models, but most people get their everyday items at convenience stores, and a multi-million-dollar retail store is a very risky model, especially for diverse people who don't have the capital behind them.
And you're saying Josh and I, you're part owner, right? So,
No, I'm not an owner at all. I'm just a consultant. I've known Josh for years and years, and I've always rooted for him in this model, and he's not been in a place financially until the grants. And so he contacted me to help him get the grants. I've walked him through the paperwork on getting a grant. We got him a $25,000 grant that helped him pay for the architectural plan. He can pay me now, and it will help him with licensing and permitting.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Soto?
Thanks, Jasmine. So I just had a few questions, sort of about the current day kind of operations as a sort of window into what would be to come. Have you had any issues around parking?
No issues with parking. So once again, we have a parking lot right adjacent to our building. There's also a high-rise building across the street from my store, and they have customer parking. It's like 4 customer parkings for the area. And there's not too many businesses in my area. So there's plenty of parking along Washington Street. There's not a bus stop on my side of the street, so there's plenty.
Okay. In terms of, I was actually going to touch on the parking lot as well. Have you had any concerns around folks discarding wrappers, things in the parking lot area or around it?
In the past, we have me and my employees, we put out signs, and I've also worked with my landlord Levi and putting signs out. And Levi, he also monitors the parking lot. The landlord does. He's around often. So I've seen a dramatic decrease in people littering in the parking lot. And was also more of a police presence now too. Some people used to just park cars there, put for sale signs on them and things of that nature. And that's no longer happened. But once again, Levi's been staying on top of that. He has a tow service that will get those cars out of there. Any other trouble in those areas.
Okay. I would also strongly consider, just because this is a kind of a common theme that we hear from places that are rooted in the community versus some of the different kinds of locations. So I would also strongly consider maybe having some of the team members, round, at least in the initial phase, so that, you're being mindful of that and also kind of, creating some data for yourself about when those kinds of things are happening, so that you can kind of further mitigate it. Another question I had in terms of Corey friendly, do you have anybody currently on staff that is a Corey individual?
Um, yes, I have 3 employees
Okay,
with
thank you.
quotas. Yes.
And then a question about the flow in terms of the current tobacco operations. Is there a check when they're entering the tobacco section, or is it at the point of sale?
At the point of sale, when they
Okay,
ask for tobacco, we ask for ID. That's for everyone that comes in.
okay, got it. Have you had any concerns just, again, the current operation? Have you had folks concerned about the operations? Have you got any neighborhood complaints about anything?
So far the community has been quite supportive. Um, the only concerns I really had was the fact that well, it's not more of the community. I just been hearing about there's other dispensaries that are close to the buffer zones. The only concerns I've been getting. Um, and once again, I'm just trying to fight the black market, that's in the area because people are gonna buy marijuana regardless, illegally. So with me, with the license, I'll be able to put a dent into that dramatically.
Well, and I totally appreciate that. I guess I was thinking more about in terms of the tobacco business that you currently run.
Hmm.
Have you had any issues or complaints?
No.
Okay. And then the last thing I would suggest to dovetail on Commissioner Holmes' point on sort of the front door access would be to put in very large letter, print 21 plus. I know that there's, some rules about that already, but I would prominently display on the front of the shop that it is a 21 plus store or whatever the wording is. So just a couple of suggestions. Thank you, Jasmine.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gandhi?
Thank you, Jasmine. And thank you both for being here. I have a couple of questions as well. I'm still kind of grappling with and responding to the size of the store. So 400 square foot store, 15 to 20 customers per hour. What was it? 3 full-time, 2 part-time currently. Looking at an additional 5 to 6 people. Where is everyone going to go? And what happens when you've got 15 to 20 customers? It looks like you've got 3 full-time, 2 part-time, including you, Josh. Josh, sorry, I apologize if I don't want to shorten your name. And then an additional 5 to 6 employees. I understand they're not all full-time. But what is the flow? Where will people go? Are people going to be lining up in the store, outside the store? If there's a kind of a rush hour, where will the bodies go? And then responding to Commissioner Holmes' comment, security is an essential part of this thought process as well. So you're going to have a lot of people already at the store, and then you've got customers coming in. How does that all work?
Ezra, you want to answer that?
Sure. Yeah, I can. Thank you. Yeah, this is a good question. So currently, picture a convenience store and a smoke shop. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but one person is in the store, right? You have one employee at the store.
Correct.
Yeah. So right now, someone just sits in the front of the store and a customer comes in. So that one employee serves the entire community all day long. If we're going to add a secondary and tertiary security check for IDs, we do need 2 additional people. So, currently there are 5 people that serve this one store with a single person at the store at a time because they have shifts, obviously. Some people come in for weekend shift, some people come in for day or night shift. So, but it's generally just a single person. So hiring new people is going to mean that there is the person at the front of the store, the person who's checking IDs in the back, and the person who is servicing the point of sale. So we're putting 2 additional people, an additional person at the front of the building. So to walk you through it, one person serves the store today. If this is approved, we will have one person outside the store. So they will stand outside the store. You'll have a second person right inside the store. You'll have a third person who checks the IDs to get to the sales floor, and a fourth person who rings them up at that area. So you're going from one person in the store to four people in the store. So that's going to require Josh's current staff number to go from 5 to about 8 people because each one of those shifts will be taken. So right now you're putting people where they don't exist right now. So that's where the additional people will fit, is where there are no people currently because Josh doesn't have any requirements or any need for it. One person can run the store. So that's where those additional people go. As far as customers, he gets 10 to 15 people per hour, but they don't stay for an hour. So there's not 15 people in the store at any given time. There may be, I don't know, Josh, how many customers are in the store at one time? 2 or 3?
Yes, max.
Yeah. So if you have 4 staff and 2 or 3 customers in the store at any given time, you're at 7 people in the store. Even double the number of customers, say during rush hour, from 4 to 6 people, you're still at 10, 11 people in the store. So it's anticipated that we're just anticipating that this is not the first shop in the city to open. There's not going to be any lines going out the door. These are truly Josh's customers that are in the neighborhood within walking distance. He's not trying to, market this as like some huge destination. No bells and whistles. So we are confident that the customer flow as well as the increased staff will be amply accommodated for.
Thank you. So let me make sure I understand this. There's 4 full-time people, and then you've got, let's say, conservatively 2, 3, maybe 1, 2 customers. Then you've got your product and your shelves, etc. in the store. It's 400 square foot store. What does the circulation look like? I'm still struggling with understanding and reconciling the additional number of bodies with the square footage, given that it's not a blank 400 square feet. There's going to be product on the shelves, the convenience store. We've all seen those, the floor plans. So the floor plan you shared is super helpful and for just kind of visualize what you're thinking of as a concept, which is open for discussion. But I'm still kind of grappling with how does everything fit in that store while allowing for circulation and proper checks of IDs, etc., while also allowing for a successful, robust, and healthy business without people getting each other's ways. Because if it's completely cramped, how do you do everything? How do you do all the requirements in a way that is healthy and helpful for the business and also for the customer? So I guess my kind of request would be, for Commissioner Holmes's request, you're open to re-looking at the floor plan. I'm just wondering if you could potentially add a layer on that floor plan to kind of show the layout of the product and where the shelves go, where all the, what the circulation looks like and where people will be kind of stationed as full-time staff, and then what the circulation looks like for a potential customer who's doing the convenience store and a potential customer kind of going through the proposed new use. I'm not fully convinced until we kind of see a floor plan that shows that, that the basic kind of, how much space a person will need to kind of do their job, plus also accommodate the needs of a customer. So I'll stop there. I've made my comment there. The other question I have is, part of our, one of the things that we want to make sure we're doing is when we're approving or looking at reviewing applicants for such as these, we want to ensure that a business is successful. You talked about a grant, a $25,000 grant that allowed you to kind of, proceed with the study, the architect fee, the consultant fee, et cetera. As part of as part of this proposed use, there may be some renovations required. Renovations are super expensive, and especially with what's happening outside of our control at this time. So, what is the plan for ensuring that those are there's a business plan for ensuring that those are implemented in a way that ensures that business is successful. So what I'm asking, or what I'm wondering, is given the very, very small margins that are in retail in general and also in these businesses, we want to make sure that you are successful, that you continue to thrive. And it's an important part of the community to have small businesses thrive and be successful. I'm just curious as to whether a business plan has been done that accounts for any other fees that might be kind of accounted for or spoken for in the grant. And then, what additional costs there might be for additional labor, any kind of retrofits or renovation work, and then, what you're looking at as far as additional revenue and how that kind of works in your short, mid, and long-term projections. Back to making sure, want to make sure you're succeeding and have a solid business plan in place. So I just I'm wondering if that has all been taken into account.
I'm happy to answer that, but Josh, do you want to talk about that at all?
You go ahead and answer that as well.
Yeah, well, these are excellent questions and something that I was very concerned with. Having done this for 7 years and had clients close their businesses, which is really, really hard for my clients and their families and their employees and myself. It's really, really hard to take a client 2 years, tens of thousands of dollars, multiple hearings, employees, all these things, and then have a business model that fails. So I am really passionate about trying to help people who have a currently stable business model. So this also helps address the flow, the actual product on the shelves and people in the space. Josh currently runs a retail store. So all of his products, including all of his smoke products, both THCA as well as CBD and CBG and all these things, those all exist right now. He has those on shelves. He has them, stored. So that model is already successful. With the new regulations, if the state is going to require CCC approval of every CBD product and additional licensing and things like that, they're already proposing to increase the bureaucratic process. Then this is a very smart business decision to get ahead of that so that he doesn't collapse in his current model. But the space, as well as the actual physical space for storage of these products, as well as the flow of those products in and out of the store, is almost identical to what we're going to see. The only difference in terms of capital investment is he's building 2 walls. So, I did some calculations earlier. We think that this entire construction project is going to be under $50,000, which is really unheard of for some certainly Boston dispensaries, but a lot of constructions, because it is already an operating retail serving the exact type of product, and it's basically a legal and regulatory change occurring inside this building. You do, however, make a really good point about increased licensing fees. So the Boston will now increase the cost of him doing the business he's doing by $2,500 a year. That's a Boston licensing fee. The state of Massachusetts is going to increase the cost of doing business that he currently does by $5,000 a year. And then with the additional requirements for security outside the building, inside the building, additional ID checks, he is going to have to hire more people. So those risks are real. Those risks are not risks that are Josh is making. Those are the risks that are imposed upon Josh by the state and regulations and the city, additional costs. So it is very unpredictable, the cannabis market. And as you know, many stores have closed. So I'm not sure It is a really good question. We do run the models. We look at pro forma. It looks good. It looks okay. Josh lives very humbly. He has a very, very low overhead. But if the state and the city is going to continue to allow licensing to occur, but there is no model that works, then the system is broken. If Josh's model doesn't work, which is the model of a store that's already operating, that already sells products that just have a different legal uh, category, if that model
Ezra,
doesn't work, then we don't know what will.
Ezra, I think you have addressed the questions, and I just want to see if there's anything new the commissioners would like to ask. applicant.
Can I, Ezra, I have one more question because the more you talk, the more. So you talked a lot about the uncertainty. You talked a lot about stores closing. I think Commissioner Gandhi was right about the fact that we actually want folks to succeed. You made this point about small store, no fanfare, but then you both said like about 3 or 4 times that you know that somehow you're going to disrupt the black market significantly and you're going to have this impact. But now you're addressing the uncertainty of everything. Then how would you know that? How would you know you're disrupting something if it's so uncertain and this is a model that you're not sure it's totally going to work because other places have closed? So there's a lot going on here that I'm sort of struggling to sort of reconcile in my head.
That's a good question. If we said disruption as like Uber disrupted the taxi industry,
Right.
that's not
But
what we mean.
I think we need
Just
to be a little bit more precise and concise.
Yeah, just in that Josh's customer base are people who smoke and who buy products for cannabis at his store. So he knows the people in the neighborhood who would love to buy cannabis legally at his store. Do we know that we're going to like disrupt and at what radius that's going to be? We just know that people still buy cannabis illegally because they don't want to go all the way to those other shops. So we're just going to serve those people and the customers he already has. So yeah, I don't think there's going to be some major disruption of the black market. Just the people in a walking distance, the people who are walking to the closest convenience store to buy something, they will now have the opportunity to buy something at Josh's that they would normally just go to the guy in their apartment building, right? So that's the hope, is that they just don't go to that guy in the apartment building, that guy gets another job and they come to Josh's. So it's not a major disruption of the market then.
Okay.
And
Thank
to build on top of that, a lot of my customers, they tell me about the marijuana that they do get. They want to know how much THC is in it. They want to know if it's a sativa, indica, or a hybrid, certain properties of these plants. And this is something that the black market doesn't provide you when you call somebody that you know from work or one of your friends. They can't give you this information. So that's why, the smart consumer, that's why we try to educate and as much as we can about this product. And I feel like that will generate more people to us to know exactly what type of product that they are ingesting.
Thank you. Appreciate your answers.
All
Thank
right.
you, Jasmine.
Any other questions from the board before I move to public testimony? All right, we'll begin public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office will defer to the judgment of this board. We do want to note, though, that the applicant is continuing to meet with civic associations, so we ask that the board members hold off on any vote until that the portion of the community process is complete. So far, they've met with the United Neighbors Association. They have yet to meet with Mount Bowden Neighborhood Association, as well as the Harvard Washington Norwell Group. Going into some information on the public meeting. So our office hosted the meeting on July 23rd. Majority of the public comments were questions related to Josh's previous business operations, questions around security, if the existing convenience store had ever had any issues with robberies or things of that nature. There were some residents that were supportive and expressed they were pleased with Josh's entrepreneurial spirit engaging with this process. There were other residents who felt that there already is a number of cannabis options in the Dorchester area and felt that the neighborhood was being saturated, as well as concerns about a proximity to a church nearby. We've not received any letters of opposition or support. I believe Josh might have sent some directly to this board that you would have access to. With that information, we'll defer to the board and once again state that they continue to work with our office. We're connecting them and getting them plugged in with the other two civic associations to round out that community process. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. I see Timothy from Council Worrell's office. Timothy, sorry.
That's all right. Thank you very much, Jasmine, board members. My name is Timothy. I am from District 4 City Councilor Brian Worrell's office. We are located at 5 Erie Street, which is right up the street from this potential location. So I am familiar with the area. I want to thank Joshua and Ezra for the civic engagement that has been held up to this point. However, we would like to see this proposed project go before the Harvard Washington Norwell Civic on its own. We touched base with Joyce Harvey, leader of the Civic, and while I believe there was a conversation, a full meeting proposal doesn't seem to have taken place, or there was definitely not a vote on one yet. Also, the Mount Bowden Betterment Association, Iris DuPont, would also like to have this before their civic as well. But most importantly, Harvard Washington Norwell, as it does fall under their catchment. With that, we would kindly ask for deferral on this to a later time. But we appreciate everything that Joshua and Ezra have done up to this point, and we'll be happy to help them coordinate those meetings that we attend on a monthly basis. So thank you very much for your time. And with that, we kindly ask for a deferral.
Thank you, Timothy. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives that would like to speak? All right. Is there anyone that would like to provide public testimony? All right. Seeing no one, the board will take this matter under advisement. Thank you, Josh and Ezra.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on to our next new license application. The applicant is Oasis of Tranquility, Inc. The proposed license premise is 51 to 55 Fairmont Ave in Hyde Park. They are proposing 3 license types, marijuana retailer, delivery courier, and product manufacturing license. The proposed hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. This is an equity applicant. They filed their application on February 11th, 2025. They filed with Inspectional Services on February 21st, 2025, and they held their community meeting on July 7th, 2025. There was a buffer conflict with another marijuana establishment. Before we hear the presentation, I will ask Akila to read the equity cert into the record.
Thank you, Jasmine, and good afternoon, everyone again. Our office was able to certify Oasis of Tranquility, doing business as Oasis of Tranquility, as an equity applicant through the documentation submitted by Janice Israel. Ms. Israel is the CEO and 100% beneficial interest holder of Oasis of Tranquility, meeting the 51% interest threshold set forth in the ordinance. Ms. Israel meets the following criteria. First, a person who has resided in Boston for at least the last 7 years. Ms. Israel submitted copies of lease agreements and utility bills establishing that she has resided in Boston from 2018 to present day. She also, a person who is of Black, African American, Hispanic, Latino, Asian, or Indigenous descent. And Ms. Israel self-identifies as African American and has provided a valid Massachusetts driver's license. And then lastly, a person who has been certified by the CCC as an economic empowerment or social equity participant and is a resident of Boston for at least one of the last 3 years. Ms. Israel has been certified by the CCC as a social equity participant since March of 2020, and as stated earlier, Ms. Israel has provided a copy of lease agreements and utility bills establishing she has resided in Boston for at least one of the last 3 years. Any questions about the certification?
Thank you, Akila.
Thank you.
Who is present on behalf of the applicant?
I am Janice Israel.
Oh, now I see you. I didn't see you on my screen. All right. You'll have 2 minutes. You can share your screen and begin.
Thank you. One moment. Oh. Can you see my screen?
No.
I don't know why I seem to have problems with this share screen. Are you able to share the presentation?
I'll pull it up. Give me 1 second.
All right, thank you.
Can everyone see that? Okay, just let me know when you want me to move forward, Janice.
Okay, so I did just want to point out on this screen that this is a rendition of what the store would look like from the street. It would be very indiscreet and there's no signs of the type of business that it is. It would only be available for the customers of that business. So yes, we can go to the next screen, please. So we've gone over most of this. I'm a minority-owned cannabis business, partially vertically integrated, the 3 license type, social equity and Boston equity, focused on restorative justice and community impact. So I'm a Northeastern graduate. I've been a local realtor for over 20 years. I've been in the cannabis industry for a little over 4 years, certified Boston and social equity. Also have extensive CCC training through the social equity programs. You can go to the next slide, please. A list of the different products. So this would not be a large scale manufacturing. This would be small scale to create brands for different business partnerships and entrepreneurial opportunities. So a list of different products would be listed here. Some would like pre-rolls, would not be large scale extractions, more like desk size equipment that could be stored in the area. Please.
Did you want me to go next slide?
Yes, please. So I have successfully created technology partners that I currently work with, such as FlowHub, SolLink, FlowHub for the clients-focused platform, SolLink for the security and IT infrastructure, Greenleaf Solutions for employee benefits and payroll, and Equity Work Center for the workforce development and talent searches. Next slide, please. So we've already gone over the proposed location, 51 Fairmont Ave. The time would be 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. That's already. And so there's Fairmont Truman Local Convenience Subdistrict is what the area. So the zoning supports small retail and service businesses, is built into the local customer base with steady foot traffic. There's lower cost than major commercial zones and strong community connection and support. The zone, although it's not within 500 feet of a school or treatment center, it is the distance for another cannabis business. So we have already broken the area. One of the cannabis businesses is the one that I am 100% owner of on River Street, the Suite 420 Wellness. And so we're having some issues with that location, and that's why we came to this location. Also, that is a much larger space. The rent at that space was $7,500 per month, where the rent here is $2,500 per month. So, it's trying to get to this new location so that it can be some more sustainable. If we can go to the next slide, please. So the most opposition that I've received for this location is that there's not much parking. Although there's not much parking, that's not one of the requirements for this business type. So this is very accessible location which is less than a 1 minute walk. There's the buses 33, 32, and 39, which is about a 5 minute walk. There's the commuter rails close by, and the Mattapan trolley, which is very close by. It's also a very walkable distance. It's a square. It's Cleary Square in Boston. As you know, most of the squares in Boston, they're very walkable areas. So parking is not one of the restrictions, and I do hope the board does consider that when they do hear the opposition set forth, and that being one of the biggest ones. We can go to the next slide, please. Very compliant business type, and the business plans to follow all of the security and compliance measures that are required from the Boston Cannabis Board and the Massachusetts Cannabis Commission. So there'll be 24-hour cameras around the facility, around the storage area, the delivery vehicles, the solely cloud-based video surveillance with point-of-sale integration. There'll be real-time monitoring, smart alerts for any suspicious activities. There'll be 2 employees at all times. The products are kept in a lockbox. No stops in between dispensary and customers. The vehicle tracking, GPS, and the body cameras. The facility security, there'll be limited access areas with proper signage and restricted entry. Anti-break alarm systems on all windows. Secure storage and locked safes and vaults. ID verification at entrance with on-site security personnel. The diversion plan is the state-approved seed-to-sale tracking system, the chain of custody policies and procedures, and the anti-diversion training for employees. Also automated compliance with technology integrations. We can go to the next slide, please. So diversity, inclusion, and employment. The diversity goals, we are 100% committed to diversity, inclusion, and equity. We have diverse teams across the staff, management, and leadership with partnerships. We plan to have 51% Massachusetts residents for at least 12 months, if not longer. We plan to have 50+ hours of education, seminars for residents of areas of disproportionate impact, training and cultivation, manufacturing, and retail business, employment plan, permanent jobs in the first year, priority hiring for Hyde Park residents, focus on individuals from areas of disproportionate impact, adherence to Boston living wage ordinances. The accountability is that we'll have D&I scorecards to hold leaders accountable. We'll have monthly reviews and quantitative and qualitative metrics, and executive bonuses tied to diversity performances. We can go to the next slide, please. The community impact and business timeline. So the positive community impact is local inclusive job creations, enhanced security inside and outside of the facility, the renovation of the building to add value, support for local increased tax revenues, educational seminars for the community, and creating space for cannabis programs to help other entrepreneurships which is the manufacturing I had expressed earlier that would open up opportunities for entrepreneurship through branding. So Oasis of Tranquility has secured the location and submitted 119 letters of support from the Hyde Park residents, abutters, and local businesses and community organizations. The team maintained open communication with stakeholders and received endorsements from Hyde Park neighborhood associations and other community groups. The teams met with Enrique Pepin, and the team has filed with the ISD and also met with ONS community. So the opposition that we are currently getting is, like I mentioned, the parking. The other opposition is that it's too close to local youth activities and community center. So as we know, these 3 things are not part of any of the requirements the extensive requirements that are set forth by the Boston Cannabis Control Commission and the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission and the Boston Cannabis Board. These are not part of the requirements. So although this is the opposition, the board does realize and look a little more thoroughly that that's not part of the opposition and that it will cause major hardship for this business. Like I mentioned, the buffer zone, this is a cultivation. And so we're requesting relief from the board for this because it's based on the complement retail model versus the cultivation model, and also distinct differences in the business structure. So it will diversify rather than duplicate the local market. So we are asking for relief for that. So I am opening this up for any additional questions at this time.
Thank you, Janice. We'll move to questions and comments from the board members, starting with Chairman Joyce.
Thanks, Janice. It's good to see you today on the hearing. I saw in your slide presentation that you said you have another HCA on River Street. Is that what you were referring to, is proven to be unsuitable?
That is currently on hold. There's a lot of restrictions. The biggest one is that there is a means of egress that actually cuts across the entire space and would cut it in half, but the landlord didn't want to lower the price on the rent. So the rent currently being $7,500. The only other possibility that I have to open is if I actually acquire the building, which is a potential possibility, but just I don't have the means at this time. It's actually a $2.5 million acquisition. So I am working on trying to open a cannabis business, and that's already possibly up to 500,000 or so. So I don't have the means to acquire the building at this time. So this location, although it's very close, it's allowing me to have a $2,500 rent versus a $7,500 rent for almost the same amount of space because of the egress issue.
Okay, that's interesting. Just looking over my notes. I think the River Street location, you were before us 2023, but you just had your HCA in June. Is that right?
Yeah, so the reason why actually, if we did want to get into that, I can. So basically I had been awarded some technical, the technical assistance aspects was a legal team. And unfortunately, the legal team completely dragging their feet. I'm not sure if they've done this type of business before. It doesn't seem like they have because they just were missing everything. And then everything was coming up being expired. I had to redo the community meeting and then I had to redo every single thing. It just was a complete circle. They also listed that they were the owner of the business to some of the potential stakeholders. It was a calamity of issues with the legal team and
Okay.
taking so long.
I was just curious because I recognized, obviously I recognize you and I'm familiar with your other application. So back to this location, will there be online ordering?
Yes, because there would be a delivery aspect of it as well. Yes, it'll be online ordering.
So that's one of my concerns with the parking, that this is kind of order online, park your car, sometimes double park your car, live park your car, run in, do a quick pickup. I'm familiar with this area too, and it already feels very congested. If I want to go to dinner there, I sometimes think twice because I'm not exactly sure how many times I'm going to have to circle and park. So I do feel as if the parking and traffic management is a concern and something you should really think through. And talk to the neighbors, continue to talk to the neighbors about that, because I could see this, and the delivery part of it bringing more congestion to an already congested area.
It wouldn't be that type of online ordering. It would be online ordering because there's a delivery aspect. So that would only be for the delivery driver. So the online ordering would only be for delivery.
Okay. So people can't pre-order and then come in and pick it up?
Right. No.
All right. So when you are doing the delivery part, like where does the delivery driver have a parking spot somewhere? Does he use the same main entrance as the customers?
So there's not a dedicated parking spot for delivery, but because there will be an on-site security personnel, that personnel would be available to potentially stop anyone from parking illegally that, they are able to see, and to potentially, hold a space for delivery, because it's not like they're coming in to get one order at a time. They're coming in probably to get, maybe 10 at least orders at a time. So they're maybe coming once or twice a day to get maybe, the orders for the day. So they, can also make sure that they can find a spot in time. There'll just be a security personnel to, secure that area. And also that could be an additional aspect for them to do as well.
Okay, what about deliveries of product? Where will where is that going to be taking place? Is there a back door? Where is the delivery truck going to deliver?
There is a back door, but they would use the front door. There's a back door available,
okay,
but they would have to go through other back of buildings, I don't think that that would be the right structure. I think them coming in the front door, just because even with 10 products, it would be the size of a suitcase or smaller. It's not very big, and it's not going to be any kind of truck. It's a car, and it's no wording or no way for them to know what type of car that it is and everything like that. So it's a very small process. It sounds like a big large delivery, but it's really a very small suitcase size. So I don't
Okay.
plan back door at this time.
Okay, that makes sense. And you mentioned it too, that you're not within the 500-foot buffer zone of a K-12 school as it's defined by law, but I do think as a board, we are tasked with looking at the intent of that, rule or that law. And we can't dismiss the fact that the theater is next door and you're in such close immediate proximity to the YMCA, given the number of children who are K-12 that use both of those facilities, I feel as if I have to take that into consideration. The visibility and I understand, like, as a board, we want to balance the access to marijuana product, but also with the goal of also keeping youth protected. So the 500-foot buffer zone is still something that I am thinking through. And that is a big issue, and the parking. Um, you know, we see in other areas congestion brought on by these types of businesses, so it's really a factor I am weighing. And the reality is the theater and the YMCA, they're in your immediate surroundings. So I appreciate the fact that you did call that out, but it's still a red flag for me in many ways.
And I definitely can understand your concerns with that, but I will say that they are extremely protected with all the security that goes on these type of business. The fact that it's very indiscreet, there won't even be any mention of a flower or dispensary or anything like that. So they won't be able to have access to get into the facility. And it's very tough to try to fight 100 years of stigma. But with these regulated markets, the Boston Cannabis Board and the Massachusetts Cannabis Commission have came up with extensive regulations regarding these things, and this does follow those regulations. So I understand your concern and, reconsidering and looking into this portion of it, but I do hope we just look at that part of it as well, that it is within regulation, that this is, a theater and a YMCA is not part of the regulated restrictions. And, this business did follow that. So I hope you can consider both things at the same time, but there's be no access, no interaction. They won't walk into the liquor store. They don't walk into the barber shop. They don't walk into any of the other businesses around there. So it would be no interaction.
Okay. Thank you. Just want to put that on the record. I don't have any other questions, Jasmine.
Commissioner Holmes?
My only, first question, the buffer zone. So the conflict is with your other business. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, it is with my other business. But it is also with a cultivation. And so the cultivation, my other business also did break the buffer zone with that cultivation due to them being a complementary business types to each other. So yes.
Okay. And what are you going to be manufacturing?
So the manufacturing will be small scale manufacturing, similar, so not the large scale, extractions and things like that, but more small scale, desk size equipment. And the types of products would be such as pre-rolls, maybe branded either flour or pre-rolls and things like that, so that we can potentially bring in entrepreneurship opportunities, so that people from the community even may have a time that they could come in and either vote on products or either create a product, and that could also go into the open market into other dispensaries as well.
Okay, and the chairwoman actually shared all my other concerns. So the questions and things I was going to talk about between the theater and the Menino Center. So we're all on the same page with that. So okay, so You still have the other location on River?
Well, it's there, but like I mentioned, because of the egress issue being cut off, 50% of the building, and because of the cost, it's not feasible at this time. If I have some type of investor that wants to buy a $2-3 million building right now and also work with that, then that's a possibility. But at this time, it's not feasible.
So your plan is to move everything from River Street over here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That helps a bit. Thank you.
Yes. $7,500 in rent versus $2,500 in rent.
Yep. I wasn't that good at math, but I can figure that one out. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Commissioner Kinsley, do you have any questions?
Yeah, hi. Apologies for being off camera now. So how many employees do you currently have at the other location?
Oh, the other location is not open. It was not open.
Okay.
We have a community agreement, but it's not open.
So you haven't even like begun any hiring process there at all?
No.
Okay. And then you said you plan to hire 8 to 10 for this one?
Potentially, there with the hours, it's potential that I would need some additional part-time employees, but 8 to 10, I would say full-time employees and maybe additional 5 or so part-time employees.
Okay, so 8 to 10 is just the full-time number.
Yes.
Okay. And then you said you're going by the Boston living wage ordinance. So you're starting most people at like $17 or $18 an hour?
My plan is to go actually a little bit higher than that and start at least, around 19 or 20, depending on how maybe possibly part-time might be a little bit different, but, the idea is to start a little higher than that.
Okay, and so since you're doing the product sale and manufacturing, are you planning on having people go back and forth between them or hire them into like specific categories?
I would say specific categories from the manufacturing to like the retail front desk and things like that. But maybe some front desk might to also deliver. So, but my idea is specific categories just because they're so different.
So would the wage rates be pretty consistent across those, or would there be a difference in like depending on what specific roles they're tasked with?
I would say the 19 to 20 would be by part the lowest, and it would differ depending on their task, just because there's so much information that goes into the retail staff having to understand different healing capacities of the different strains and kind of helping people understand, what they might like. And there's just a lot more that goes into it, I do feel. So I do feel that that might be a higher pay rate.
Okay. And then you plan on having like your own in-house staff doing the deliveries? Or are you like using a third-party courier service?
So one of the license types here, so I plan to have a separate set of employees that's doing delivery, separate set of employees that's doing security, separate set that's doing retail, and separate set that's doing the manufacturing.
But like all together, it's that 8 to 10, or is the 8 to 10 just the retail side?
The 8 to 10 is full time, so that will be all together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then do you think you would have like variable schedules or hire people like as like a daytime employee or a nighttime employee?
So because the hours are more than 8 hours, I would have to have some, part-time for that overlap. But for the most part, scheduled for, the part-time might have the evening and the full-time may have, say like the 9 to 5 or the 8 to 4 or however that may be structured.
Okay. And then what about like paid time off and benefits?
Yeah, so I actually am working with one of my technology partners is a partner that offers a program for that. Yeah, they would create that for me. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me right now, but Green Line Solutions, I believe it is, the employee benefits and payroll, they also offer solutions for that. So they would come up with an entire solution plan for that. And yes, I would offer that as well.
Okay. And then how would you like what kind of recruitment strategies would you use to try to like get people who live in the vicinity of the location?
The Cannabis Control Commission recently opened up the Equity Works division, and so I would work with them, and there are other career hubs as well, but I would work with them. They help with workforce development and talent searches. And so I would, I would work with them in coming up with a plan to be able to get the type of employees that I need.
Okay. Do you I mean I'm not super familiar with the the mechanisms for that. Do they have a way to like target that to the like specific communities that you're looking for, or is that more of just kind of like an across the board job posting type thing? Or is that just
Um,
something that you'll need to have further conversations with them about?
yeah, I'm not. That would happen at the screening level. I'm not sure, but I would have to find out, get more information on that. But that could also happen at the screening level if it didn't happen at that level. And it could be like in the job description that, we encourage High Park residents to apply, things like that.
Okay. All right, that's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Smith, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Jasmine. On the education part, your 50 plus hours of educational seminars for residents. What is that around? Your training in terms of?
That would be around real estate and potentially getting into the cannabis sector as well, whether it's job opportunities or becoming a social equity applicant to potentially open their own, or also potentially partnering with me to create brands with manufacturing.
So you're doing the training or you have someone, you're outsourcing?
Most likely, I would be doing the training. Well, I would do the real estate training at least, and then I would probably outsource for some of the other training.
Okay, so training and cultivation. So this is what you're talking about. The education is about training in cultivation and manufacturing, that kind of thing.
Yes, I would definitely.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any other community benefits besides education or thinking about?
So some of the community benefits would be, beautification of the area due to all the um, updates and renovations that need to come with the building for that type of business. We would do a, um, uh, I'm sorry, I want to make sure I'm saying the name right. um, a smart, I think it's called a smart consumer, a smart Hyde Park resident consumer contract with the people that come in, and they would agree to, say like not double park in the area. They would agree to like a list of things that, obviously not smoking outside of the um, business and things like that. And if they don't adhere to those things, then we wouldn't serve them anymore. Like we would take them off the list if we had any issues like that. But as far as community commitment, so there's different, we just recently did open streets. Actually, we have a space right in. We, plan to work with like the Hyde Park beautification of Hyde Park, the committee there that does different things in the neighborhood and the area. So it's hard to kind of make full plans of what to do as a business because we're kind of in limbo of where we are, if things like that. So we just are kind of waiting to see how far we are, but we have plans to, community initiatives in the area. We just are seeing if we get approved.
Understood. Your projections are for 200 to 300 transactions per week. What are you basing that on initially?
Basing that on similar stores in the area and the store size and the traffic. So we're basing that highly on the driving traffic in the area, the walking traffic in the area, just like how many customers we expect to come in per day and things like that.
And the stores, similar stores in Hyde Park, cannabis stores have that kind of volume?
So actually, it's just one store in Hyde Park. They just recently opened. It hasn't even been a month yet. And so Hyde Park is one of the areas that, unlike other areas of Boston that have multiple stores, it's one of the areas that not only, don't have any stores, or like I said, one now that's been less than a month, but they also have stayed true to allowing equity businesses in the area. So I'm hoping to continue to stay true to that.
Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine. And Janice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Soto, do you have any questions?
Yes. So I pass that storefront every day on my way home, and the parking concern is a major one for me, given that it will extend my commute about 5 to 8 minutes if there's a lot of folks trying to land a spot to go to Park 54 or go to Back Row or whatever. And it's a daily challenge that many commuters have to face because there are only certain points that you can get over the tracks. And so I would, it is a very big flag for me in that it doesn't sound like there's any mitigation necessarily for that. So, has there been any conversations? I know historically the bank parking lot hasn't been accessible, but has there been any conversations with them or the space directly behind the building to use some of that savings from the lease to lease some parking spaces? Because I mean, at the very least, I'm thinking about where are the staff going to park, right? And that's 4 less spaces for the resident or for the consumers and residents. So I just feel like that is a major issue that I think needs to be addressed with some mitigation to gain more support for what is I think would not in other circumstances I think would be sort of a welcome thing where there aren't a lot of these establishments in Hyde Park. I mean, I think there's like one, and then there's the delivery place that was recently approved maybe 3 or 4 months ago. So it is a little bit of a desert for this type of establishments. That being said, plopping it in a spot that's going to create issues with the community is not the best foot forward in the business. So just curious, have you considered those types of things? Are there any mitigating things that we haven't heard yet?
Oh, yes, I have absolutely considered the parking. So I've had the space, as you guys know, this process does take some time. So I've had the space the better part of a year at this point, and I have had events at the space where to bring awareness to the business, to get signatures and pop-up shops and things like that. And we've never had any issue with parking. Not one person have ever received a ticket. We've never had the facility often, a few times a week. I never have an issue finding parking. I do know it's limited parking, but the previous hair salon, the businesses in the area is a church next door, a convenience store next door, a restaurant not too far. And, maybe you go and you might have to drive around a time or two, but you park. These businesses are open, they're active, they're booming, So the fact that this business is a short time needed to that I've had have been longer than that. They're an hour, 2 hours, maybe even 3 hours. We never had any issues with parking.
I think my concern is that this is a different level of density over time than pop-ups or some of those other things which do bring more folks to the area, which again I do support bringing business to the area. The thing is that if this is so, even with the parking concern, right? Like even if folks can find parking somewhere else at 5 o'clock, 5:30, when you're hitting that intersection and there's 2 or 3 people trying to back up into a spot, it causes the backup. And given what I would imagine is more or rather more consumer traffic than that area is used to, will be detrimental in how it impacts the local community. It's just one of those things that it's hard to avoid. And that's why I think if there was some mitigating factor, even like 4 spaces, down the street or something and you put some signage up, it would help improve that.
I definitely appreciate your concern, and I have put a list of the different parking lots in the area that are less than a 5-minute walk. There's one directly across the street with the commuter rail. There's one up the street that is behind the post office that is, I think, 121 spaces. That's less than a 5-minute walk. I can make sure that I put parking in the area, but there are lots that are available that are very close by as well, on top of the fact that but I do understand that light, trying to back up and find a spot is brutal. But there definitely are some parking spaces, parking lots in the area. Some are free, some are paid. The one behind the post office is free. I believe the one across the street might be paid for the commuter rail. I gotta double check. But I do have a list in my presentation. I could definitely create a list to give to potential customers and things like that as well. But I do feel that I'm not sure if people are realizing how much parking that there actually is in the area. It's just, maybe a walk, a 1 or 2 minute walk, but there definitely is parking in the area.
Yeah, I just think people want to park closer and they're willing to go a few times around and then it creates that backup. So, I think greatly appreciate to see, even if it's just a sketch of an outline of how this would have a minimal sort of factor on that, or even if it's like, what do they say, like showing the work, like I just want to understand sort of what thought has gone into it.
I'm not sure if you can see this, or if I don't know if Jasmine, if you have a moment to bring back up the presentation, but this shows the different parking lots in the area. That's part of my presentation. I'll just read it off. The on-street parking on Fairmont Ave and adjacent streets, the MBTA 32 spaces and a 2-minute walk. The MBTA High Park Station lot, which is 121 spaces, is saying an 8-minute walk. Other things have said 5 to 7-minute walk. But the municipal parking lot near the library, which is 0.2 miles away. So, I can definitely highlight things like this. There's also the store across the street. I believe it's called Oasis. No, I'm not sure the name of the store, but there's a parking lot. So I could definitely highlight this to my customers, but there is parking. And then, any type of business going there is gonna need parking. So it's just like, the convenience. I don't believe that it would bring a higher density of clients because there's a convenience store right next door. There's a barber shop next door. There is a church right next door. There's a restaurant, the pretty, popular restaurant that's not too far away. So, they don't have any issues with parking where their customers are double parking and these kind of things. So maybe scarce, and maybe not as much as they would like, but their customers are not double parking or blocking the fire department or anything like that. So I would imagine the same.
I would strongly disagree. Again, I go down that way every single day. So that is an issue for me personally. So I have to push back on that assertion because it is literally my experience. Folks double parking outside of Rincon, folks double parking outside the convenience store, the barbershop, especially, right? That is daily. I don't go to Park 54 as much as I would love to because there's never any parking. So my wife and kids are like, no, we're hungry now, right? And so it's like, okay, fine, forget 54, right? So we only go on Sundays when we know there's going to be parking, right? So I just want you to know this is real. I live it. So I would love to see some mitigating factors.
I appreciate that. I understand.
Oh, sorry, Jasmine. That's all for me. Yeah, that's it. Sorry.
That's okay. Commissioner Gandhi?
I have a question about parking. No, I'm joking. I think we've asked the parking question. I will just echo the comments made by many of my fellow commissioners and Chairwoman Joyce here. And so we've talked about that. On the youth and the proximity to youth, I have a question for you. The question is, do you offer medical marijuana? Can folks fill medical marijuana requests here?
No medical.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The reason I asked that question is because I do know that some youth who have medical marijuana licenses will go into an establishment and purchase marijuana for them and their friends using their medical cards. And I think there's there's a loophole there that some youth have been known to take advantage of. And the rest of my questions would have focused on the storefront and what the front looks like. And I appreciate that was part of your presentation. So with that, no more questions. Thank you.
Okay, yes, thank you.
Any additional questions from the board? All right, we will move to public testimony, beginning with elected officials or their representatives.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office will go on record in opposition to this proposal. Some background information on the community process and our reasoning. So, public meeting was held on July 7th. It was well attended. There were some residents that were present that were supportive of this proposal. However, there are a number of residents that expressed concerns regarding the close proximity to a number of youth programming that occurs in Hyde Park, as well as concerns related to double parking, as well as potential impact on the fire station located directly across the street from this premise. They connected with the Fairmont Hill Neighborhood Association, which ultimately decided not to take a stance, although there were some members who expressed concerns regarding specifically parking in that area, being a busy commercial district. We received ultimately 5 letters in opposition, as well as being informed that Councillor Pepin's office is also going to be opposed to this proposal as well. Ultimately, we decided to oppose, as mentioned before, the close proximity to youth programming in the area, such as the Riverside Theater, which is directly next door. Up the road is the pre-K program through the Hyde Park Community Center, as well as a bunch of other programming there. And though outside the 500 feet, just across the 500-foot barrier is the New Beginnings homeschool, which I understand is a parochial school. As mentioned before, concerns regarding the potential impacts on parking and traffic with the courier aspect of this license, as well as potential for illegal parking impacting the egress to the fire station. For that information, we'll once again reiterate we are in opposition to this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Are there any other elected officials or their representatives that would like to speak? All right, we'll move to public testimony, beginning with those that signed up via the link that was put in the chat. Luke will go through those names.
Yep, and just a reminder, you have 2 minutes and to state your name and address when called upon. First, we have Joseph Tierney.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Tierney. I live at 8 Glenhaven Road. And I just wanted to say that pursuant to Chapter 94G, Section 5B3, a marijuana establishment cannot be located within 500 feet of a pre-existing public or private school. And the proposed location is within 150 feet of Riverside Theater Works and 500 feet of Little Voices Early Care and Education. And under the letter of the law, both of these organizations are schools, as school is not defined in Chapter 94G. So you look to the general meaning of it, which is a place that gives educational services. Both of these do that. And the Supreme Judicial Court has kind of routinely held that the spirit of the law is to create a drug-free zone of safety where children can be, learn, and play, free of the potential infection of drugs, which runs directly counter to a shop here. So that's how I begin then with that. I also submitted this in much more detail in writing to the board, as well as Councilor Pepin in the mayor's office. Thank you all.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Megan Young.
Yes, thank you. Similar point that, as I've read, 21 Beacon Street. Similar point that this location is at the heart of Hyde Park. And as a homeowner and a resident and someone who drives through that road twice a day, every day, it really is something that we see as a family-friendly, welcoming, and safe atmosphere. The location is a couple of blocks, again, from Little Voices at the Muni, which hosts an outstanding Boston BPS Universal pre-K site through Little Voices, youth basketball program, close proximity to a playground, the YMCA, close to the Boston Public Library, which has a whole children's floor. And directly next to Riverside Theater Works, which also hosts theater and dance programs for children ages 3 to 17. And these are the kinds of institutions that reflect and nurture our community's values, particularly for families. And I want to feel safe walking through our downtown area, and a marijuana establishment does not engender feelings of safety. Google Maps puts the direct walking path of this location 479 feet from the Muni, where there is the BPS pre-K site. Direct opposition to a dispensary being within 500 feet of a school, and pushback that cites the precise definition of a school as a way to circumvent this restriction, to me feels like a twisted application of the letter of the law over the spirit of the law, and shows a disregard for the community. I believe there are appropriate zones for a business like this in Hyde Park, but placing it at the center where there are child and family-friendly activities really threatens to undermine the progress invested in making this area a vibrant, inclusive place to raise family and for young people to make positive choices. I support local businesses that prioritize long-term community health and cohesion over short-term and short-sighted commercial interests. So I urge others to oppose this proposal and to prioritize instead the character, safety, and future of Hyde Park. This proposal is a liability for our community. It is not an asset. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have David Young.
We can move to the next one. Luke.
Okay, we have Pat Tierney.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hit the unmute. Oh, Pat can go, but sorry.
You can go now. We can go for now.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
My sincere apologies. I couldn't get the mute button. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for the process. And I don't want to retread ground, but just again, David Young, 21 Beacon Street, Fairmont Ave. Just want to reiterate again. I think the council, the members of the board did not cite several supervised schools that are within the 500 feet radius of this proposed location. I just want to say again, I'm opposed to it. And just for context, in terms of traffic, yesterday morning, this location is directly in the middle of a stretch of a half mile that I drove, and it took me a half an hour to drive that half mile. Opening up in the next quarter are two large apartment complexes that are about 2 blocks away from this location, which will add further traffic to the area. So it is a problem. So just want to put that also on the radar. And I just want to say, like, I walk my children past that location every day. So thank you. Bye.
All right, thank you. Pat Tierney.
I think,
Okay, moving on. Scott Beatty.
Yes. My name is Scott Beatty, and I'm a 33-year resident of Hyde Park. I'm also co-president of Hyde Park Main Streets, and we are located just a couple of blocks from this proposed location. I don't want to belabor a lot of the other points. I just want to say our organization is very supportive of new businesses in our community coming in. We wrote a letter of support for Firehouse Cannabis at 881 Hyde Park Ave. Felt that was a great location for that business. This, unfortunately, is the choke point of our neighborhood right now. As many of you know, Squares and Streets is developing Cleary Square, and already the citizens of Hyde Park are asking the city to do a legitimate traffic study, as we right now have 1,500 units coming out of the ground already approved. Squares and Streets will add probably a couple thousand, if not more, units, and so the density is going to increase. And I've already heard several people that have a real life experience of what that square looks like twice a day. Trying to park even one car, parallel parking, at that site during rush hour is an encumbrance to traffic beyond belief. So I just want to say that this location is a very poor location for this business in our estimation. We are supportive of new businesses coming into Hyde Park and diversity of businesses, but that business, that location is just not the right place. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. That's everyone who signed up on the form.
Okay. The first.
Hello.
Hand-
Hi, this is, can you hear me? This is Pat Tierney. My phone had died, was dying, and I had to run to get a cord for it, which is why I didn't answer when you called my name.
Okay, if you wanna.
Okay. And I'm not going to take up much time. I just want to reiterate what everybody said and to just give you an example. I live and work on the street within 200 feet of the proposed space. There is never parking. It is really difficult. And today, just to give you an idea of how little parking there is for that specific shop, there are only 2 parking spots because of all the no parking signs. There are only 2 parking spots available between 49 Fairmount Ave and 73. It is a highly congested area, and it is just not the place to have come and go traffic. So, like I said, I own the building 2 doors down. I have tenants, and they're all concerned, commercial tenants, and they're all concerned about where they're going to park or their customers. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Pat. The first hand
You're
raised.
welcome.
Samsung. Didn't put your names.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, can you say your name and your address, please?
My name is Dukens Petit Matre. I live at 25 Pierce Street, and I also have my family member live at 20 Pierce Street. So we are homeowners in that area. So I do support small businesses just to support everyone, what everyone been saying, the commissioner, as well as Pat, everyone else that came before me. And I think I definitely have to go opposed of that proposition to have this business open in this area. It is a residential area. Um, I do believe that there's businesses out there, small businesses, but this type of business specifically is not fit. It's for this area. So there's plenty other places. I think this business will be a good fit, but in Fairmont Ave, it's not a good one. That's what I have to say. Everyone has already nailed everything I would say, and I support. I would encourage the commissioner, everyone else that would take actions to oppose and to stop bringing this business around this area. There's school, there's young kids that goes into this area, there's churches. We don't want this business in this area. I am sorry to say it. This business, there's other places that would welcome this business, but not Fairmont Ave, especially where my kids are growing up. And I have a 5-year-old, an 11-year-old. We don't want this type of business. I'm sorry to say that. We're gonna go against it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next hand is Kizzy Key.
I'm sorry if I may say, there's a red flag that came up to me. So I would have known if there's a meeting of public big for today. Because I don't know whoever was spreading the flyers. If it wasn't for one of my neighbors, I would have known. Because what my neighbor says, someone came up and put a flyer, taped a piece of flyer at their gate, and took a picture and removed it. I don't know if it's just to pretend that, oh yeah, I served that person aware of that meeting. If you're not there, that's on you because you should have known because I put a flyer in your door, and then they will remove it right after it. So if my neighbor wasn't aware of what's going on, I would have known there's a public meeting about this type of business. I would never known that a business like that would have opened in this area. I think there should be.
Thank you, sir. Your 2 minutes is up. Thank you. Kizzy Key, you can continue. Sorry.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kizzy Key. Not only am I a business owner in Hyde Park, but I'm a resident of 228 Garfield Avenue. Of course, I support this business for a lot of reasons. I'm hearing the people reject to certain things. First, parking. Parking is a problem everywhere. So we're not going to act like that it's just a Hyde Park issue. It's problem parking in Dudley. It's probably parking in Dorchester. It's traffic everywhere, and it's to me sound like a state problem, not the businesses. Because no matter what business you put there, it's going to be parking regardless. Whether you don't have a business there or not, parking is going to be an issue. It's been an issue. I've lived there for 7 years now, and it's never not been an issue with parking. And to go on with, I hear someone say that, oh, people are double parked. When you're going into a dispensary as a person who goes to dispensaries, you're not double parking because you know you have to take the time to figure out what you want and stuff like that. And I refuse to come out. I don't know about anybody else, but I don't like to pay for tickets. I don't want my car towed or none of that. So I don't mind walking the 5 minutes to get to where I got to go to just to know that my car is secure, because that's what most people are. People going for 5 minutes, they're probably going into that convenience store or other businesses, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to a dispensary knowing that they're going to be more than 5 or 10 minutes into a place and leaving their car where it can be towed or parked, because as we know in Boston, it takes you but 1 minute to get a ticket. So I doubt if this business is going to be anything far as parking. And far as the children, we're talking about a cannabis business that has cameras outside everywhere. This is going to be better for crime. I hear someone say they don't feel safe. How? When the cameras, I'm pretty sure there's no other cameras on anybody's business like a cannabis business. It's going to catch crimes. It's going to prevent people from crime because they know they're going to be caught in camera. And by right, she's obligated to give those cameras up to show if something happened. And my last point is for the youth. I keep hearing kids and kids and kids, but they don't even know there's marijuana unless you told them there. That's number one. Number two, you have to be 21 to get into the dispensary. They don't even allow you to get in the door to purchase no nothing. But yet and still, those kids after school can go into a liquor store right now and go get their snacks. So at the end of the day, I think that this is a very safe place. I think that it's needed in Hyde Park, and I 100% support this business.
Thank you. The next hand we have is Demir. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
No, that was actually perfect. Thank you. My name is Demir Daniels, and I've lived at 2 Lee Haven Road probably for the most majority of my life. Sorry, that's my son in the background. And I wanted to say that I support this business simply because there's a multitude of reasons. It's a positive step toward economic growth and community development. It'll be a really pretty building on top of the fact that it'll give job offerings to, under people that may have not been able to get a job in that area otherwise. Then we go to parking, and I see that there's a lot of kickback about parking. However, it seems that if any building, any prominent business or any restaurant, anything that has customers is going to have parking issues that comes there, whether it's a cannabis, a corner store, a hair salon. And for cannabis, it's like you're in there for 5 to 10 minutes and gone, versus if it was another business that they might be in there for 30 or 40 minutes, that would take up the parking for longer. So to me, it would be even better for a business that comes in and out. Also, as well as the children, a school, not a daycare, a school is K through 12. So there isn't a school that is approximately 500 feet or less. And like the last person just said, because there are cameras, because it is so well maintained, it's going to make the area safer. And then for people who have children, I'd much rather somebody going in there and going into the comfort of their home to do their marijuana versus a very drunk person coming out of a club. And drunk drivers hit children all the time. So if there's okay for there to hold on, and I have young children. So if there's able to be a bar there, then I think there should be cannabis. Thank you.
Thank you. The next hand we have is Scott, RTW.
Hey there, how are you? This is Scott Allen, Executive Director of Riverside Theater Works and Riverside Theater Works School for the Performing Arts. Just wanted to chime in. I do support any new entrepreneur, and congratulations on your efforts. I just wanted to put it on record with the amount of students in our building to the board. On any summer camp, 9 to 3 during the day for 6 weeks, we have at least 60 students between the age of 7 and 12 and 10 teen counselors during that time. On any Saturday during the school year, we've got about 120 kids between the hours, cut into 2 different sessions between the age of 7 and 12, and 10 teen counselors for that time as well. We also have our teen programs 3 times a year that are with us 3 to 4 nights a week between the hours of 6 and 9, and then with a week that they are there every night. Many of these students do practice, and they do go to that bodega, which is on the other side of the shop proposed. And I do want to put on record that we do have a camera at our front door. So that's all I just wanted to say, put those numbers on record.
Thank you, Scott. Next hand is Dwayne Osborne.
Hi, Jasmine. Hi, board. I'm Dwayne Osborne. I just wanted to chime in to show support for Janice and her poll. And that was it. I just wanted to chime in on support. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dwayne. Next hand is iPhone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I couldn't unmute in time. So my name is Matsari Sidvaje and I live on 23 Pierce Street. I just wanted to say I, again, have always volunteered for our local businesses. I walk the streets every single day. I have 5 children. They take the commuter rail. And there's times that in my street, I cannot get into my own driveway. I've had to call the police numerous times because my driveway was blocked. I would have to go around Davidson just to to try to do a U-turn, but to get back to my street. And it would take me 15 minutes from Davidson all the way down to get back into my street. That is very concerning to me. As well as we're always in the theater. There's so many kids in that neighborhood. And I myself have seen tons of traffic, especially due to the restaurants. Again, I can't even tell you how many times we've had to call the police, had to walk to the restaurants and say, hey, there's a car blocking our driveway. And it happens often and in my street. As far as the notice for this meeting, I walked to the businesses last night because I found out through a neighbor that saw someone take a picture of a posting or a listing. And I spoke to the small businesses in that area. They are not for this business. Obviously, not just because of the traffic, because they experience that themselves, but we weren't notified of anything like this. And that to me raises red flags that I live right down the street and 4 local restaurants that I walked into and businesses had no idea this was going on. Yeah, so I'm just calling to say I'm not in support. Thank you.
Thank you. The next hand I have is Ty Gomes.
Yes, hello. This is Tyrone Gomes, and I work with Greenlight Business Solutions, a consulting firm that specializes in licensing. Address 25 Foxborough Street, New Bedford, Massachusetts. And I just wanted to express my support for this proposed business and my support for Janice. I just wanted to, on record, say that Janice has been a part of the state's social equity program for years, and she's one of the brightest applicants, super responsible. Her stick-to-itiveness, if that's a word, is incredible. I'm just a big supporter of her. And Greenlight's been contracted by the state ever since tier 1 of the social equity program to teach social equity courses. So that's how I'm qualified to speak to her. And I'd also wanted to say on record that if this business were to be approved, that Greenlight is going to work with Janice pro bono for the first year that she opens to make sure that she really does a good job of making this business profitable, does a good job of being a good neighbor, and just has an easy time being compliant. So I guess I know my time is running up. What I wanted to ask the commission is that before making a definitive decision, I would encourage you guys to just give Janice guidance as to how we can make this work for everybody. I really like what Commissioner Soto did because he voiced his concern about parking, but then he also gave really good feedback. He said, "Give us a plan of mitigation," right? So that shows the intent there. It's like make this work for everybody. Gave some tactical guidance. So that's what I would encourage everybody, residents, commissioners, work with Janice to see if we can if we can mold this in a way where it mitigates all risk and it's a good thing for the community, good thing for everybody involved. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty. The next person, it's a phone number. Last 4 digits are 6483. I just asked you to unmute or disappeared. I think they disappeared. Would anyone else like to provide testimony on this matter?
Can I speak again to some of the concerns?
Yeah, 1 second, Janice. Let's just wrap up any of the public testimony. If there is none, then Janice, yes, you can give a brief rebuttal.
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to speak on, again, most of the opposition is issues that are not part of the extensive requirements that the Boston Cannabis Board has set forth and that this business has tried to follow to a T. And if there are going to be new considerations, then that should possibly be something that may be written into the law. The first issue is that children around the area is not anything that's supposed to stop this in open. The school does have a full definitive answer to what a school is, and it is K through 12. So a pre-K and a theory, one of the restrictions for this type of business. And also I wanted to speak to the notifications. Not only were they sent regular mail, they were sent certified mail. They were posted to the addresses in timely fashion the first go around, and then just recently this Saturday. 5 minutes to post it, and I didn't want to have any complaints regarding litter. Some places where I was allowed to leave it, I did leave it. I walked into certain businesses, I talked to the businesses. A lot of people do, I'm fighting 100 years of stigma. And so unfortunately, they're on record. I did have some signatures from businesses, which I've submitted, part of my 120 submissions. But, there's 100 years of stigma that I'm fighting that, unfortunately, some people don't want to go on record. But I didn't get any opposition from any of the businesses that I visited in the area for either businesses, as they're close to each other. So for either type, I didn't get any. So I just wanted to speak to those to just remind the board that, there is an extensive set of laws and rules that set forth that this business did try to follow to a T. And, I would love if the neighborhood business give this business a chance to, be a good neighbor and, work with the neighborhood to see certain things that the business can provide, but just to oppose the business that are not part of the restrictions. I do hope the board does fully consider everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Do any other board members have any additional comments or follow-up questions? All right, those were all the matters before the board today. The board's voting meeting will take place Wednesday, October 22nd at 1 p.m. So that is 2 weeks from now. We pushed it back a week due to scheduling. So October 22nd, the board will vote on these matters at 1 p.m. It will be posted to the City of Boston's website under our public notice. Again, the record would be kept open until Monday, October 20th. So any additional testimony, anything you want the board to consider before the vote on October 22nd, please submit that by October 20th, which is the Monday at 5 p.m. Thank you all for attending and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.